the sounds of it. There we go. And now we can also see the civilizations, and we got Capoch on the Delhi against Erik in the red as the English civilization. English against Delhi, I would be feeling really good right now if I was Capoch.
Yeah, I was about to say in this matchup, when I'm the English, I usually do one of those Vil Rush tricks because I'm like, this is a very favorable matchup for the other Civ. I have to do something out of the ordinary. I don't know if we'll end up seeing that out of Erik. He might feel a little bit more confident as we already see the 2-2-2 coming in. Farms are already in play. And getting that extra, farming eco booming out for the English side of things.
Wait a second. What is this build order here from Erik? He has made those farms before he even made his first house. There we go. Now house coming out, but he hasn't gone to gold yet either. So that means that wheelbarrow is going to be a bit away for him for now. That's going to be a little bit weird. That means that feudal age is also going to be quite a bit delayed for him. I wonder what he's planning here.
Yeah, obviously it's not the typical 2-2-2 one, as he has more onto food, less onto the gold, no earlier wheelbarrow, but still early farm. So I am a little bit confused about his game plan, but I'm sure there will only time will tell and shed a little bit of light on his ideas here as he sends that first villager on over to build the mining camp on gold.
This is a build that I've not seen at all. This looks really, really weird so far, but I mean, maybe Recon has something planned here behind all of this.
Who really knows? Capoch looking like he is going for a little bit more typical build, as he has already been starting all of his techs, already has that moss down, and is over onto the gold as well. So we'll be kind of matching up the feudal age timing, or should actually beat the feudal age timing for Erik potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Erik, I think he's been playing English quite a bit. So I think maybe there's just something, a hidden strategy here for Erik here in this game. And, I mean, I've not seen it personally. I have not seen this strategy here personally, but it could definitely be an interesting one. It seems like he's just going to be skipping wheelbarrow, so he will have enough gold in order to go for the feudal age at a relatively decent timing. I'm wondering right now what his plan is going to be in the long run, though, against the Delhi. The Delhi just usually is one of these civilizations which you don't really want to be playing against when you're the English. It feels like they always have like the upper hand in the feudal age. They're just able to mass more, they're able to heal their units, and then when it comes to castle age, suddenly one of your favorite units, the longbowmen, they don't really do a whole lot when it comes to fighting against elephants and the likes of that. And I mean, with the spearmen, it's tough. It's definitely one of the worst matchups for the English here.
Yeah, obviously the Delhi, they're a civilization that already love running a bunch of horsemen, and horsemen are the main counter to those longbows. So spears are forced out by the English. The only kind of benefit I will say out of the English is they can utilize those longbows to snipe out the scholars a little bit more efficiently, but that only helps if you can actually win the military fights. And Delhi typically can outmass English quite quickly with their efficient production, and especially if they're able to secure up a sacred site or two.
Same time when piety comes in as well, those scholars will have plus 40 HP. That means even when you're able to snipe them more efficiently with the longbowman, it might be tough. You're gonna need a lot of longbows in order to deplete like 130 HP with a single volley here. Barracks coming out immediately as well, so this does look to be heavy feudal age aggression from Erik, because I mean, he doesn't have too many villagers on gold right now, so I don't think he's gonna be looking for a faster castle age timing here. And how many villagers does he have on wood right now? Also doesn't look like he's gonna be going for a lot of longbowmen if he doesn't pull a lot more villagers over to wood. No, he does have a good amount of villagers over on wood.
Yeah, he's got a decent little balance, and I'm sure those vills on the landmark are either going to choose to go to wood or to food. Probably wood, based off the looks of it, for the time being. He'll start being able to kind of just non-stop mass up longbows as well as spears, and it looks like he's just trying to match the feudal age out of the Delhi. The big thing, like, oh, men at arms is the first choice out of Erik. Okay. Typically what I was going to say is that, like, the earlier on for the English against other civs, you usually don't want to fight. You usually want to wait until you have a good mass of the longbows. But with Delhi, they're usually a minute or two behind as far as military production goes. So you might actually be able to kind of hopefully thin out the mass or take a good trade or two very, very early on.
sure right now how I feel about the early men-at-arms. The early men-at-arms, they are able to soak up quite a bit of damage early on. However, they are very easily out-healed. They are able to take a lot of damage. However, when it comes to the output, they're pretty much even with the horsemen without any of the bonus damage against any unit. So scholars are typically able to out-heal them quite efficiently. With the mixture, though, from the longbowmen, looking really good here. And now 2 villagers being pulled towards the middle sacred side, denying the wall coming out from Capoch. Might be going for an outpost here on that middle sacred side in order to benefit from the networks of castles bonus.
I think he might be even more aggressive with the outpost and just say, yep, there it is, right in front of the production. This is what I was saying before the deli's really able to turn on that production, as they're usually about a minute delayed. So there's a few men-at-arms here. The men-at-arms will do a good job at defending up against the spearmen, and same thing with the longbows. The key is going to be, we saw the stables finish up, and that means horsemen should start coming out. If horsemen come out, that's where these longbows should get focused down quite quickly, as well as the villagers that are forward.
They could potentially deploy the palings, just position themselves right next to the villagers building that outpost, and then deploy the palings. That would allow them to do a decent bit of damage to the horsemen and just stun them for a little bit. Longbowmen able to secure that outpost from going up. Now there's a scholar inside of the barracks, so now units are going to be coming out relatively fast.
First horseman moving forward. This is a big pull.
Early on.
This is actually a fight that could go heavily and actually favor Erik in the long run, as he's sniped down a couple of those spearmen. The horseman has to run away. The villagers are getting focused down, and yeah, they're burning down the outpost, but look at the damage that's coming down. Not only does a villager or two go down, but all of the trade goes in favor of Erik, who takes down a couple of those opposite side military units.
Yeah, there was a big amount of idle time as well. Capoch also just sent out 2 of his scholars, so he's going to be able, at the end of the day, though, to heal up all of the units that got damaged here. Now Capoch also going for an outpost on his side, so he really doesn't want Erik to get a foothold here with an outpost. And once again, longbowmen trying to get kills here, and it's looking really good. We can really tell how big of a nerf it was for these outposts with the building speed, as the longbowmen are able to kill a bunch of villagers here.
This is so much damage and so much idle time. He's had to pull so many villagers to build this outpost. Scholars are getting focused down, horsemen getting focused down, spearmen getting focused down. Yes, Erik might not be able to get this outpost up now that the outpost is finished on the side of Capoch, and the 2 villagers that Erik pulled up have gone down. But still, I would say heavily favoring the trade on the side of Erik now.
Yeah, overall, villager numbers looking in the favor of Erik. And the military also looking really, really good right now.
Oh, initial berries ran out. If Erik spots this out, he might just go and focus in on the secondary food source, as there will need to be an investment into defenses on the secondary food sources, whether it be an outpost like we just saw or military units, because Erik, he could just start denying food, and that means none of those horsemen, none of those spearmen able to continue to mass up and pop out.
Yeah, but this is a little bit where the immobility from the English comes into play, because they usually want to have their military all in one place. They're not really as mobile with their normal military composition. So, I mean, if he was to spot that, and if he was able to intercept those villagers over on those berries, that could be immediate GG when all of those villagers go down. Doesn't look like that's the case, though, and now we see scholars moving out to that sacred site on the bottom.
The villagers... He didn't even have enough wood when they moved out at the time to place a mill, so I think this is one that he was planning on building a mill and got a little distracted with other things, and villagers making their long journey back, getting their steps in for the day, and deciding to turn back mid-journey. You know, one of those, oh, forgot the mill, and going to build the mill now.
I think I saw something like that in last video, but yeah, this looks really, really interesting. But he did notice he's gonna be building the mill there now, and is gonna be able to gather up from those berries. So, I mean, a little bit of idle time there with the berry gathering, now being able to capture 2 sacred sites at the same time at the top side and at the bottom side. Looking not too bad, though. I mean, Erik, he does have the mass in the middle, but now he's gonna have to go over to one of those other sacred sites, and at the same time we see Capoch just taking a couple of horsemen here and trying to raid the economy from Erik. Erik, smart move though, keeps a spearman in the back of the space right next to the gold miners.
Yeah, it's amazing what one spearman can do right there, as none of the villagers got taken down, and all of those horsemen took a good amount of damage from one spearman and as well as one man-at-arms that popped out.
Now able to T-cap that second sacred site. Also managed to kill one of the scholars there. Got a couple of units there on the bottom sacred side. It is completely walled on though, so is gonna have to burn down some of these walls if he wants to decap that.
Yeah, one of the walls, or maybe two of them, were half built, so he really should focus on the ones that aren't fully finished, as it's half health already, and it takes extra damage as it is not all the way finished.
Yeah, didn't seem to notice that though. Just go for the gate instead. I mean, if you destroy the gate, it does also destroy wall segments that are to the sides of it. So it's a little bit more value, but I agree. I think he should have gone for the not finished wall part there. Just gives you the quicker decap on that sacred site. Looking at the military right now, looking somewhat even, but the high value units are on the side of Erik here with those men-at-arms. Couple of horsemen trying to get a kill over on that spirit. They do manage to kill it, but I mean the men-at-arms, it's a big boy. It's able to survive for a long time here. A little bit of aggression on that wood line from Capoch now.
And again, the big thing here for Erik as the English, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, is you're like, oh, you're playing extended feudal with Delhi, but Delhi is going to continually run out of these food sources. English has already transitioned into farms that are quite strong. So Delhi's going to be moving out onto pocket eco over and over again, and Erik might be able to find a transition back in there, and he's going up to Castle Age just a little bit before Capoch is going to be able to drop his.
I really like this farms, but without wheelbarrow, into still fast feudal age and then aggression type build order. Both players right now going up to the castle age though. And I mean, just when it comes to the unit composition, typically I would favor Delhi with their access to the elephants in the castle age. It's gonna be interesting to see what Erik has in store here, as he is also prepping a stables now for some knights potentially.
Yeah, stables for some knights. It looks like he's doing a little bit of a cutoff onto those sacred sites. And the big thing, if he's denying Delhi those sacred sites, that's a lot of gold income that could be utilized. It makes it much harder to actually produce those elephants, as it's such a high investment cost. Still attempting to burn down that gate. It looks like he did transition to the other wall for a bit and maybe transition back. Either way, though, Capoch able to start securing up another sacred site there, and the low mobile units of Erik just not able to just consistently deny there.
Osman once again running into the economy. However, King's Palace being there to hide the villagers, and Capoch having to retreat there at that point. Now also Blacksmith coming out for Erik. I think it's a little bit late now for the Blacksmith, but he was able to just field a lot of units early on. So it does make sense that he's only just now opting into it.
Yeah, sacred site being recapped. Bottom sacred site still has been secured. Those pocket food ecos are still going fine for the time being. Scholar gets taken down. Wololo not successful. Scholar should go down as well. The big benefit for Delhi, obviously, as you see it, relics immediately able to be picked up as their scholars are already spread all throughout the maps, trying to secure up those sacred sites and move into those positionings.
Yeah, now we see Capoch also making a lot of knights right away. And I mean, right now, Erik doesn't really have a lot of spearmen, so those knights could potentially be unanswered here for a while then. And it's looking quite difficult. Okay, now he's started making a couple more spearmen, and he really does need a good amount of spearmen now, because those knights, they're just going to try and run into the economy and do some damage. But Erik is pulling back his army, so dive is going to be not really an option here right now. Oh, another Wololo.
Oh, I think that was too late to pull.
Oh
no! No, it was too late to pull. That was huge. He could have just stayed and killed it, I think.
Yeah. Now Archer trying to take it down. Doesn't work. Now a horseman raid in the base at the same time. That have been a bunch of villagers going down. Capoch now in the villager lead as well, even with the second TC there for Erik with the landmark. And I don't think he noticed. Oh. Okay, now I think he noticed, but that was a lot of villagers going down there over on those farms. That was sick. That was like the Wololo in order to distract, and then at the same time with the horseman to raid.
Yeah, and honestly, if he just not paid attention to the Wololo, let his units kill the Scholar, he would have played out a lot better, but reacted a little too late, pulled the men-at-arms back, and lost all three of them going over to Capoch's side. And guess what? Capoch has compounded the defender with 660 stone. He could be looking for a keep drop at a positioning point on the map because he has the stronger military now. He has tons of lancers. He has those scholars healing on up and just continuing to raid and put Erik on the back foot. Erik's just not been able to be aggressive at all.
Yeah, and the food economy for Erik has also been idle for quite a while now. Now we're up to 10 knights for Capoch, and currently Erik, he just doesn't have enough spears. There's more knights than spearmen here for Capoch, and now the knights are just going to try to surround the archers and go for a kill here, and now also keep being dropped on the middle of the map, on the middle sacred side. So a couple of villagers going down due to the longbowmen there, but it's looking really, really rough right now for Erik in this situation here.
Yeah, I think with the amount of damage Capoch just did, he's fine with losing a couple of villagers for gaining this map control, gaining this positioning, and he's doing the typical thing you see with a lot of people in keeps. They drop it next to another stone mine and just stone vein and just immediately start mining that up for the next keep drop.
Yeah, we might be just about to witness a keep after keep after keep crawl here into the base of Erik. Looking at the military right now, Erik has been idle when it came to production just because there were so many raids happening on his farming economy. He just doesn't have the food income right now in order to make a lot of military, and it does show as he's currently sitting on 9 military units, meanwhile Capoch on 28, and these are all high-value units for Capoch. Meanwhile Erik, he only has longbowmen and spears.
Yeah, it's not looking good if you are a fan of Erik, and this is why this matchup, it was looking so good for Erik for a time, and then all of a sudden you blink and Erik's behind a significant amount, even with the extra TC, even with the amount of kind of lead that he got earlier in the game.
Yeah, it's just been death by 1,000 cuts. Capoch just being everywhere around the economy of Erik, just distracting here and there with the Wololo. Then at the same time, like, look at that. Even now, he still has military units in the back of Erik's base, just waiting for an opportunity in order to get some unexpected kills here. Did slip up for a second, though. One of the knights going down, both knights now being heavily damaged, but he's just gonna try and raid all around the map here from Erik.
Yep, just doing the pincer movement. He's on either side with knights. Oh, you're going to move your spears to the north? Now my next set's coming to the south. Oh, you're going to move them back to the south? All right, my knights are going to circle around to the north side and just not going to allow Erik to breathe. Longbows trying to help, but the longbows, they don't do too much. Even if they're veteran longbows, even if they have all of their upgrades, they need a much bigger mass to do more damage. Lancers going in for more raids, denying more food vills, and taking more aggro away.
Yeah, and even if Capoch doesn't get any villager kills here, he's causing a lot of idle time, and that's really everything he needs to do, is just cause idle time. It means that Erik is not going to be able to field enough army. At the same time, yeah, even more raids going on here, only longbowmen being there to defend right now.
There's one spearman. Just lancers can just circle right back around, go back and forth, back and forth. He just has these different groups, different raiding parties all together. 5 or 6 lancers coming in from every single side. Erik finally deciding to get a wall in. The villagers are moving forward for yet another keep. This is going to give vision for Capoch into the whole entire base of Erik, all of the farms, the council hall, and the front and main wood line.
The wall isn't even built.
Wall got denied. Wall got denied.
There was no villager moving out to build that wall. It was only placed, but no villager actually moves to build that wall, and it's just looking really, really grim right now. Keep going up, and Erik has no way to respond to that right now.
Not at all. The knight numbers up at 18. There's so many scholars. You could take the spear versus knight mass right now and just take it and just be happy with it, because you'll win the fight easily. Erik sees the keep with his spearman mass and just has to run away. Takes a nice brace in, but scholars moving forward. The men-at-arms that were stolen are moving forward as well, and the first trebuchet starting to rain down on production.
And this is just a big issue with the English in this matchup. It's the mobility. The English army just doesn't have the mobility in order to really respond to all of these raids going on, and this is where the troubles came in for Erik, and he knows that he's not going to be able to come back to this game, as he calls it GG here.
Yeah, good first game by Capoch, by the Deli. We kind of expected it with that civilization matchup. We knew he needed to do something, and Erik had a really good idea. That forward outpost came down at that perfect time and caused a ton of idle time, caused some damage early on, but just not enough to be the difference.
can see it here in the villager count. Even after Castle Age came in, all of these raids just kept the villager count for Erik so low, and just with a single town center, Capoch was able to take the villager lead decisively here. Military count, even while being even, it's just the value units being on the side for Capoch with the knights, and it's there was a huge fight then, and all the longbowmen went down in the middle for Erik. And once you start losing your mass with the English, it's just a pretty big it's a loss. It's just a loss. You never want to lose your mass as the English, because you will very likely not be able to replenish it in time to react to any further aggression from your opponent.
Yeah, and the thing about Delhi is, being, you know, a sacred site civilization, they force the opponent onto different points. That's 3 sacred sites. That's 3 different points that you're going to be fighting at typically. And just Erik not able to keep that mass together and take enough trades. But game number 2, it's not the first time we've seen the French mirror on Frisian Marshes today, and it might not be the last either. It's a fun matchup as always with the French mirror. Tons of knights, tons of raiding, and who will get the upper hand here on Frisian Marshes?
There we go. Capoch against Erik. Capoch being in the red as the French, and Erik in the blue also as the French. We're playing on Frisian Marshes. That means a lot of sheep being gathered here at the beginning. And once again, we see a similar opening difference here between these 2 French players. One player opting for that additional scout, the other saying, nope, 1 scout, good enough for me. I'll be able to get a lot of sheep anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And a little bit of a map rotation than the previous Frisian Marshes, as it's the south and the east side this time. So that's kind of one of the cooler things about this map. It's not always just spawning diagonally. It's always kind of has that axis rotation. And the sheep are in abundance. Scouts running around. Will Erik have that same timing with that knight like Don already had to potentially put Capoch on the back foot a little bit?
Been a lot of sheep to the left side of Erik's TC, but right now he's going for an aggressive scouting pattern. I don't think an aggressive scouting pattern really works if you're going for a single scout approach here. Right now, I mean, if Capoch notices that there are a lot of sheep on the left side of Erik's base, if he gets those, then suddenly there is going to be a big discrepancy when it comes to sheep numbers here.
Yeah, the sheep numbers, they're so key because it allows the French to stay safe and secure under their town center rather than having to move out onto some of those pocket ecos on, you know, onto those shoreline fish. Even though it's the fastest food gathering in the game that you can get, it just leaves yourself vulnerable to those night raids. Even if there's, you know, a TC there, if 5 knights come in onto the TC and there's, you know, too many villagers for the TC to hold, a lot of vills will end up going down.
Scout here from Capoch moving towards Erik's base. I'm fearing the worst here. If he found that, that's like 6 sheep to the left of Erik's base. That could be a tremendous victory here when it comes to the sheep numbers. Getting closer and closer to that side. There's still a lot more sheep down here. So...
he's gonna find it.
Oh, he's getting closer. Just a little bit more. He's gonna spot him. He's spotting them. He's gonna take all of them.
Yeah, this feels really, really good. And it was right as Erik's scout just spotted it out, and that just has to be demoralizing. You see the amount of sheep that just got stolen over right in front of your face. You might say, oh, well, he still got 10. I mean, I would say a bad sheep haul on this map is like 15, 19 or so. Well,
26.
10 is awful. School of Cavalry is already going down, but was this single scout opening worth it enough? Ugh, I don't think so far, but maybe that initial timing can just come out and end up paying off.
16 more sheep. So that means 16 times 250. That's 4,000. 4,000 food difference here. That's 2 boars. That's an insane amount of food difference that Capoch is going to be having safe under his town center.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that positioning point. It means Erik will have to move out for shoreline fish or berries way sooner than Capoch. And not only that, is when you have like your villagers away from your town center, it leaves yourself much more vulnerable to not only night raids where you're moved out, but also at home when you don't have the villagers close to your TC and able to jump inside.
Now both players aging up at the moment. I think both opted for 4 villagers. Now we see scout raids again on the gold. Not doing a whole lot. They're just trying to distract a little bit. Maybe just position the scout in between the gold. Okay, never mind. Capoch actually only being on 3 villagers on that age up. Wondering if maybe Capoch then might go for that second TC a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you know, he is the one with 2 scouts. You can be so aggressive with these. It almost acts like, you know, not necessarily another aggressive unit, but it's just so much more extra idle time. And over time as well, what people don't think about is the damage that the scouts do on these villagers. Later on with night raids, those low health villagers will end up going down much easier, as 2 of them are already at like under half health, it looks like.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple of times that getting textiles in the mid game is really, really important, especially in French Mirrors. There's a guarantee, basically. There's gonna be knights trying to raid, and just getting textiles in those situations is gonna be a tremendous help when it comes to just minimizing losses in case of these raids happening. Now we see Knight coming out for Erik, dissuading the scouts from sticking around here for any longer. Also Blacksmith immediately being dropped, so he's gonna get that free upgrade on his Knight with the attack damage. Probably going and trying to knight some gold here.
I don't like the Blacksmith choice, and the reason being is, you know, with those knights, it really doesn't matter a ton when it's knight to knight matchups. And even, yes, you're right, it might 2-shot the villagers now much easier. You don't have to wait that half-second delay. It still is just not as much of a focus earlier on for the French Mirror that you typically would see.
I do agree, and now we see barracks already coming in for Capoch. I mean, now the knight is gonna try to dive the town center. Villagers hop inside. That's a lot of damage on that knight. Now, even the +1 damage doesn't really matter with that much damage done through the town center. That knight is gonna be significantly weaker. Charge also coming out. Second knight, though, being there in time. Charge coming out. Knight being really low has to retreat for now, though.
Scouts on the opposite side still trying to be annoying. Denied, though, by a 3rd knight coming out. So Erik is ahead in the knight numbers, but one of his knights is essentially going to be rendered useless. And looking like he is sitting onto his 1 TC a little bit more. Hasn't even thought about moving onto the stone. Whereas you already saw Capoch building a barracks and moving onto the stone, as well as a blacksmith for him.
I mean,
for spears, it makes a little more sense.
Weird to go for the blacksmith for the spearman, because even if you get the defense upgrade and the attack upgrade with the spears, the critical amount of hits needed to take down one of those knights, or the amount of hits needed to kill one of the spears, it stays the same.
Yeah, it's again, it's funny. Like, you just don't really see the early blacksmiths as much in these matchups. Usually you'll see that blacksmith being a production building instead, barracks as is in the case of Capoch. But Erik just has a little bit of that extra wood still in the bank, so could potentially not invest in the spears and allow himself to get an earlier TC timing.
Capoch now also scouting out that Erik is moving over to stone, so both players doing the typical going for a second TC here at some point in time. Right now, Knights can't really take engagements with the spears being in the base of Capoch, and I think Erik really has to think about adding a barracks here at some point soon as well. Knights taking a pretty bad fight here. That was a lot of charges going off there for Erik's Knights, so Knights for Capoch now being a little bit weaker. Still, spears in the back of the base for Capoch is going to mean that he's going to be able to fend off these knights relatively easily. Now Erik also adding a barracks.
Yeah, and just Capoch is nowhere onto the to the stone yet, but he now feels a little bit more secured on the stone with 5 spearmen, 6 spearmen or so out on the field. The knights have taken some bad trades so far. Erik kind of draws out the knights from the other side. The spearmen chase down with them, but they don't quite get enough of their closing speed on top. Knight numbers, though, are still equivalent to the spearman numbers, so I'm wondering if Erik's going to try to go for a little bit of some smaller trades here and micro back the lower health knights.
Could potentially do so. It would be very risky, though, and right now he doesn't have all of his knights on the front side, so... I mean, right now, if, like, one of these, like, single spearmen, yeah, when they go out like that, when they break formation, you can just pick them off like that, that's perfect. But I don't think that he can really deny that stone from being gathered right now. I think he just has to live with that. As we see 3 knights here moving out to that stone mine. It's going to be... Okay, immediate reaction, though. Okay.
Erik has enough stone as well to drop off. And based off of that charge, that seemed like a little bit of health there on those vills.
It's a lot of villagers on stone, though. Is he going to go for another TC?
I think so. There's no reason why he would. He has 400 stone already. Why is he going back onto the stone?
Okay, no, now he wants
Knight
to
on
drop
top of his wood line as well. And he doesn't have enough wood for the second TC.
That's crucial timing there with that knight, just denying that little bit of wood income. Villagers sitting, being like, they stand there a little bit like sitting ducks. They might just get shot down with those knights being around there, but knights do seem to retreat back to the base of Capoch for now, so not a lot of issues with getting that TC up, and now it's being placed.
Yeah, and Capoch placing a TC on the opposite side around the same similar timing. Erik looks like he's going to get a huge raid here on the wood line. Villagers trying to run back. There's a significant number of knights. Looks like 3 or 4 vills potentially going down. 3, I believe.
3 knights going down. Now villager number in favor of Erik by 5. So that's a pretty good villager number to be at in comparison.
Ooh,
so
did lose 2 knights for that raid.
Yeah, I mean, it's still probably going to be worth it at this point in time, just getting those villagers down just on the wood as well. That means that there's not going to be a whole lot of extra production buildings right now for Capoch. I think that was a worthwhile trade for now. He did pull a couple of bonus villagers now from those sheep over to the wood line. Still, there's a little bit of bonus wood in the bank for both of these players. Could potentially see them, if they go for a lot of spearmen here, to opt into a third TC at some point.
Yeah, they both have that little bit of extra stone in the bank. It just makes it just that much more enticing. You're like, well, I already got 100. It's only 200 more away. And, you know, maybe that's just going to give them that extra added incentive to drop that.
Watch also going for a wall now. Interesting. Just does dissuade Erik a little bit more and more from raiding there. Now, knight numbers, pretty even. Spearman numbers, though, in the favor of Capoch.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of those that Erik has the slight favor on the eco right now, but not in the military. And if Capoch can easily transition this military lead into equalizing the eco.
Once again, we see an archery range here built by one of our French players. Capoch instead going for a second barracks, but archer range now coming in for Erik, so he's very likely go in for to a triple composition here instead of just the knight and spears. But I mean, with Capoch just having so much more food income right now, he can just keep massing these knights.
Yeah, and that's kind of why Erik's almost forced onto the archers that you said. It's just because his wood income's going to be a lot better. His food sources, they're already farther out on the map, and the third TC is being dropped by Erik.
Could have been dangerous if Capoch spotted that in time, but doesn't look like he has vision. No, he does. He does have vision on it. Scout just cruised by at the perfect timing, and this could be really bad for Erik.
Knights and spears V-line over to that side, and the military numbers favor Capoch as Erik invested the resources into this town center. If those spears and knights get some burn, get some torch damage on the TC, it will... Oh, cancels it beforehand, so still will have the resources to drop that third TC, but Capoch knows it's coming. He knows he has invested more resources on that.
Second archer range now coming, and Erik wants to heavily go into archers at this point in time. He does have a good amount of wood income. At the same time, Capoch also opting into a triple composition here, dropping 2 archery ranges himself. I mean, it's going to get to that point right now. Capoch actually has the same amount of villagers as Erik. Maybe there was some idle time or some villager picks that we didn't see. I don't think any villagers went down on that third TC. Maybe like a single one. Looking interesting right now. Now Knight's taking a fight here.
Ooh. Wow.
Good trade for Erik.
Yeah, very good trade for Erik as he picked up 2 knights and turns around again. He's going to pick up another. Oh, it was just a 1-for-1 trade that time. I thought he might be able to pick up one more, but still, I think 3-to-1 knight trade is very efficient as those knights can just heal back up. It's kind of being a transition into all spears out of Capoch as he has 26 spears right now and starting to produce just a few archers.
Yeah, he's not making any more knights right now, and this could be the point where these archers here from Erik could really be the game changer when it comes to taking fights. Now, knights won't again cruise around, but there's a TC there, so should be fine for Erik. No villagers hopping inside the TC for now, though.
And the knights on the opposite side for Erik are kind of doing the same exact thing, circling around, trying to find some spot to pressure, some spot to get some damage down. Outpost being invested into by Capoch, able to get some of that vision, and those knights circling around are being perfectly tracked by Erik, who wants to just make sure no damage goes down on his eco, and hopefully could get a huge pick off on some military.
Knights once again over there in the economy from Capoch. However, Capoch has spears and archers prepped. I mean, in theory, those knights could take down the spears. But under the TC fire, he's opting not to do that. Villagers now taking fights with the knights. Does he have textiles at this point in time? I really hope he does have textiles.
Only one Vil went down there against 4 knights. I'd assume he had... Oh my gosh, he does not.
No textiles. Does Capoch have textiles? It could be the difference maker here, especially with the economy there from Capoch being a little bit exposed towards the top side. None of these players have grabbed textiles yet. I mean, there were a lot of villagers that went down so far into this game, so textiles could have definitely saved a couple here and there.
Knights for Erik need to... Whoa, immediately pulls them back right as the spears come up and ready to force that charge in. We do see a little bit of some siege engineering coming on through for Capoch, so might be planning on trying to get a nice timing push on these couple TCs. And will Erik have enough military to stop it? Can he use these defensive structures to help him equalize the numbers on some of these fights and take some beneficial trades?
Gal potentially going down. No, is getting saved with 1 HP remaining. Oh, that was a close one. You really need those scouts to stay alive if you want to have vision all around the map.
And there's like this huge stealth force gap in the middle that if all of a sudden your opponent sneaks up an outpost or sneaks up, well, a keep would be even worse. Obviously, feudal age, that can't happen. But outposts in this stealth force just gives so much vision and gives that kind of foothold for you to be aggressive at.
Looks like right now Erik is flirting with the idea of going up to Castle Age. We see Capoch not really even thinking about right now as he's just dumping all of his income into military at the moment. But Erik, he does have the resource to go up really, really soon now. Could we potentially see him give in to the temptation?
There it is.
There he goes.
So now...
Army also
go ahead.
Going in there. There we go. Army under the TC there. Not enough villagers being inside that TC, and Okay, Capoch has to retreat because now there's also the military there from Erik, but this could have been dangerous. I think he could have committed just based on the amount of spears that he has and just way more military in general right now for Capoch. He could have committed, but decides not to take the fight under the TC here, and now Erik has reached the next age. What upgrades are coming in? Not all upgrades yet, so he might be lacking some resources.
Yeah, I like what Erik's doing, though. He has his knights killing out all of the reinforcements. This is either going to force Capoch's army back or force him to mass up at home. Good pick on the military as well, but if he is forced to mass up at home, it could give him the opportunity to have a nice timing collapse from either side.
Yeah, Knights try to get a couple more raids in. However, the army for Capoch is propped right up against the third TC from Erik. Might attack at any moment's time here. Now, rams are being prepped.
First ram being built on up. Knights still circling around for Erik, trying to do some damage. Veteran archers coming through for Erik, and more spearmen in production. Just going to be full and focused on defending himself up as he has been the earlier one to Castle Age.
We don't see any pierce armor upgrades here for Erik at the moment, and this could be really bad for him if it comes to a fight. These archers are going to be doing their full amount of damage to the units from Erik at the moment.
Not only that, Erik, he's still down in villagers with being the one investing in an extra TC. Obviously just hasn't been able to keep his villagers alive. He's been spending more resources on that extra TC, and it has not been paying off.
It's once again trying to get a couple of picks here up in the base of Erik. Not finding any villagers as he pulls them away in time, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is more of the Castle Age timing that I expected off of the French Mirror. We see 150 units versus 170 total population, so it's almost already towards that kind of max population timing, and there will be a breakthrough at any point in time, as it will be a huge clash of these militaries.
Yeah, as soon as Capoch reaches the Castle Age, Erik would want to engage with his military. However, Capoch did know that that would very likely happen as soon as he gets up, so he did pull his military back in time. So now it's back in the base and might potentially trap these knights that are now stuck in his base.
Yeah, you might say, yeah, there's a ton of vulnerable villagers, but if that battalion of knights goes down, that is so valuable. We talked, I mean, that's a couple thousand resources at least. Spearmen circling around. Villagers have just constantly been running away. And then there's a spearman split on the opposite side. So should be able to just get all of these knights maxed down.
It's looking brutal right now. Knights are trying to just shimmy by here, and it looks like the big brunt of them is going to make it out alive, at least most of them, but the archers are waiting and could potentially get a couple of picks here as well.
Yep, and with that many archers, they are able to at least get 1, maybe 2 picks, and that knight number, that's starting to hurt, starting to thin out, but that's not the main mass. Now the main mass for both of these players, it's all about spearmen and it's all about archers. Capoch, he just has an extra 10 spearmen or so.
Knights are just hiding next to Erik's gold, and now they're going in again for a dive, right as the military is trying to clash here in the middle. Just Capoch pulling back a little bit, waiting for his upgrades. Now the upgrades are coming in. Now he could be taking this fight, and now at the same time, Knights are raiding on both sides.
There's things going on all over the map, exactly what you would expect from a French mirror. Villagers running away right as the military masses are clashing in through this, but there's multiple outposts here for Capoch. He has the defender's advantage. His upgrades have come through as you see the spears on his side, and this is going to be one of the decisive fights. Who will end up winning this one out?
Knights in there for Erik. No knights in this main army for Capoch, so the knights are able to soak up quite a bit of damage here from the archers. Archer numbers still in favor of Capoch. Overall military is in favor of Capoch at this point in time. However, the spearmen have started thinning out, and there's still a couple of knights here.
Yeah, a couple more spearmen trickling in. Both of these military masses have been thinned out heavily, and all of a sudden, Erik, he has a 10 vill count lead after that little bit of night raid, and the military numbers, it's not too much in the favor of Capoch anymore.
Yeah, Erik managed to take a really, really good trade here. Looking at the resource banks, Erik's is looking pretty healthy. Capoch, though, he is spending all of his income on military, so might be a little bit more efficient here for him. A couple of knights getting caught here, though, by the spears.
Yeah, and just, again, Erik moving out more further and further onto these shoreline fish. Capoch is going to be doing the same, but that is leaving himself quite vulnerable, as that's why Erik just got a huge raid onto the gold mine we just saw over that was a little bit too far out.
Yeah, now Capoch once again tries to remass his military. Erik is going for a couple of men-at-arms here, but Capoch, he has opted into Arbaletier, so those men-at-arms might not be that good for him in the long run. Adding a couple more stables, though.
Yeah, you could end up with the Arbaletier being masked up. It's typically the French composition that they eventually like to transition into is a ton of mass Arbaletier, just because they have so many of those extra bonuses compared to other civilizations' normal crossbows.
Same time, Erik is gathering a lot of stone right now, and the way he placed his buildings is perfect. His production buildings for a keep there. Knights once again coming in for Capoch, getting 1 kill. Still no textiles in for these villagers. And a second villager goes down. Third villager does survive as the attack is being cancelled here for Capoch.
Relics starting to be secured by Capoch as well, so villager count number might be favoring Erik. Military number is basically dead even, but will Capoch give himself a little bit of an advantage as far as the religious idol gold that you can end up gathering?
Big wall being pulled here now by Erik over on the middle side of the map. It's probably just going to be palisades. I don't think he invested his hard-earned stone into that. He's gonna secure his side though.
That would be quite a bit of a stone investment that far across the map. He definitely, I would expect him to use this 800 stone to drop a keep around some of his production to make all of those knights and Arbaletiers himself that much cheaper, as it seems like he is wanting to go onto a heavier knight mass.
Yep, there we go. Perfectly placed production buildings there. Gets a lot of them with a discount to archery ranges and 3 stables. Barracks don't profit from it, but I mean, better to have it there than just to delete it for another building.
Yeah, not to mention with the wall that he's built, the keep is kind of the front of his base, the front of his production, so he doesn't really need the wall all the way across for the time being. And right as I say that, he finishes up the wall all the way across.
Might as well. Oh, armies clashing here a little bit. Archer numbers in favor of Erik at the moment, though. Spearman looking good for both players here, but I mean, one side has Arbaletier, one doesn't. Archers do pretty well against Arbaletier as long as they don't deploy their Pavisa, though.
Yeah, and the big thing here, though, is that Erik has those knights kind of just circling around. It's letting the spears try to chase him down, but at the same time, the archer mass for Erik, it's starting to get thinned out quite heavily, and the spearmen might just be able to live through the archer count that he has now.
Did any of these players opt into Royal Bloodlines so far? I'm not sure
yes,
if they did.
Erik, I
believe
Erik did, if I'm not mistaken.
So
Capoch did not,
and Erik
did.
Erik has it, yeah.
I thought I saw Erik get it a couple minutes earlier, and that's why I saw him kind of transitioning him harder into the Knights, as he has 15 Knights right now compared to 2 on the side of Capoch. So even though there's 14 spears for Capoch, that's not as many as Erik has Knights. So this is really where the Arbaletier switch can really become that big difference, as the Arbaletiers, if they don't get focused down, the Knights can get absolutely waxed.
The Knights are gonna be taking a lot of damage here also because they have 0 Pierce Armor upgrades right now. Monk going for Wololo, gets some Man-at-Arms here. And the fight right now, not quite sure whose favorite is going for right now.
I mean, I know those Knights are so tanky with the Royal Bloodlines upgrade, so I would think it would be favoring Erik in the long run here. Erik even has some of those Knights splitting off onto those villagers, building that keep, and that keep gets denied. The Scholar or the Monk doesn't even secure up that relic. The ranged units are starting to get closed in upon by the Knights, and the Knights, they look to have wiped this whole entire fight. There's not that many Arbaletier left, and the Arbaletier number, it's probably just about about half shot at one of the Royal Bloodlines Knights right now.
Man, every time I think that Knights with Royal Bloodlines are strong, like right there, I thought, okay, 0 Pierce Armor upgrades for Erik. Surely even the archers are going to be dealing really good damage against those Knights. But no, the Royal Bloodlines is just such an insane technology to have in the Castle Age, and those Knights survived for way longer than they had any business doing.
Yeah, it's just, it's 310 health is so much. That's like almost like half an elephant, I think. And it's just crazy to think about that's how tanky that these Knights that can become with how much aggro and damage that they can end up doing. So the initial keep is attempting to be torched down, but Capoch is just deciding to build a backup keep right behind it, losing all of the resources for that initial keep that he attempted up though.
Yeah, he's not even cancelled just to get the little bit of stone left in there, so lots of stone being lost here, and keep does go up though, so he is still gonna be in this game. Erik right now sitting on 140 villagers, being completely maxed out in population.
Yeah, he's got 41 archers. He's got 11 knights. He should just nonstop have a ton of military in queue and getting some extra upgrades in. But if you notice, they are on the top of the screen. Capoch is the one who has all of the blacksmith upgrades compared to Erik and Eco.
Yeah, just now grabbing the Pierce Armor defense upgrades here for Erik, and I mean the fights are still looking relatively good here for Capoch. Like the Arbaletier, they're definitely dishing out a lot of damage here to the Knights. Now Knight numbers is looking really low for Erik. Still the archers, they're doing a lot of damage here. Just could have done so much more damage if they had the Pierce Armor upgrade before. Would mean a lot more of these stay alive for longer.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised seeing how many archers Erik had, not seeing Capoch make the swap back onto either horsemen or knights as a front line and still having Arbaletier as the back line. But obviously with knights and arbs, that's a ton of food and gold, so I could, horsemen wouldn't be too far out of the question. Yeah,
right now, I mean, he's even gathering the wood here from the base of Capoch. He also has a siege workshop next to his keep, so he's gonna be able to start sieging down some of the infrastructure here from Capoch very soon. Wololo villagers do move to safety. Okay.
That was a quick pullback. The wall actually all the way across the middle. There's a huge gap in the wall in the middle, which a lot of times like people think, oh well, it's all their military has to run on through. Well, Capoch could send a nice set of knights and just run around the backside nonstop to continue to raid the economy of Erik.
Yeah, Erik hasn't really paid too much attention to the relics so far. Capoch is on his way to gather up the third relic. Also has enough stone for an additional keep. Now there's more production being dropped next to that keep with the discount. Trebuchets now coming out for Erik. Not a single trebuchet out for Capoch right now. One in queue though. This could be looking like a siege war that's gonna go in favor of Erik here.
Yeah, it's whenever you have those initial keeps drop, it immediately forces down the siege war. And if you kind of get your position and foothold forward on the siege war, it really can turn a game that you might have lost into a game that you can end up winning easily. So it's 2 trebuchets versus 1. And the 2 trebs for Erik are just immediately burning down, or not burning down, they're hitting the palisade gate right front and forward in front of Capoch's base, which will allow raids to come in onto the farming eco.
Watch at the same time, though, he's pulling his military forward towards the base of Erik here. That could potentially be pretty devastating, and Erik, it seems like he... Oh, another forward keep here.
Oh my gosh. This is going to deny some of those farms, and the horseman swap has come out by Erik, not Capoch. I thought it might be a good idea for Capoch, but Erik is the one who's chosen the horseman swap, and I think that'll be pretty efficient into the opposite side unit composition.
Yeah, there they go, horsemen and knights. I think there was an attack issue command with all the military selected, so now the horsemen chose to attack the keep there instead of moving towards the military here. But then, at the same time, with the way Erik has placed these keeps, Capoch might find himself getting pretty nervous here, as his landmarks might be under attack pretty soon.
Yeah,
armies fighting.
Army that moved forward for Capoch, yes, it did a lot of, it took a lot of units out from the other side, but it should just be cleared up as the highly mobile units of horsemen and knights are going to start closing in on archers and arbaletiers, and at the same time, that keep is starting to deny those farms in the middle. The next, I'm not sure if that trebuchet is focusing on in that second town center, or potentially some of the landmarks.
Yeah, only 3 landmarks right now for Capoch, so there might be a victory condition here that Erik might find himself trying to use with the landmarks destroyed here. And now we see trebuchets firing over onto the main TC.
Yeah, you just said 3 landmarks, and we're already down to 2, and he's focusing in on the second one. And the problem for some of these landmarks is they're not quite as tanky as some of the other ones. So that secondary or initial TC could be going down in just no time at all. Horsemen starting to raid the farms all around it, and those horsemen will probably just V-line straight towards the Royal Institute, as well as having a potential another keep drop if Erik can get the stone.
Military for Capoch right now, just not where it needs to be. He does have resources, a lot of them, a lot of food, a lot of gold, but it's just not where it needs to be right now. If he just went back into knights, he could pretty much counter everything that Erik had right now.
Yeah.
At this moment, but it's a little bit too late for that knight switch now. He doesn't have the amount of time that he needs to produce a sufficient amount of knights, and now this could be really, really bad, as another landmark is going to get destroyed here very, very quickly.
Yeah, the huge benefit for him is his keeps have stayed up. Erik's been focusing in on the main base, so if he wins this fight, it does kind of feel like one of those that Erik has gone almost all out for this, and so if Capoch holds this, which he just killed that keep that was denying a ton of farms, he could potentially just secure up his base and transition this straight back into the opposite side.
Another fight here, though, going in the favor of Erik, and Capoch is building a keep here, but it's right next to the trebuchets that Erik has, and it's going to go down really, really quickly.
Yeah, that's one of those that right as he finishes it, he's going to have to start healing it, or it's immediately going to get taken down. Needs to start healing it. Oh, and it goes down immediately. He has enough for another 8 stone short for another keep.
Same goes for Erik's keep, though, as he just placed another keep as well, and it's just gonna get siege on as well. Both players going for another keep here. Wait, right? Oh my god, and it's gonna get destroyed immediately.
It's 800 stone right down the drain yet again. The archers are just moving front and forward. The horsemen are running, not even going for the trebuchets. They're just kind of cleaning up, being that front line. Archers focusing down, the spearmen on the opposite side if they can, and some of those springles are starting to go down. I'm wondering if Erik has transitioned to start focusing on to that initial town center again, but the horsemen, they've closed in, they've gotten on top of the trebuchets, and Capoch is losing his siege mass that he had.
Oh no, this is looking really
Capoch
bad.
is at
Now
24 military.
The population at the same time. Trebuchets still have been idle for Erik, so he didn't continue to siege down the landmarks for now, but right now I don't see Capoch really massing enough military here. His food income, it's also been stagnant just because of the food denial there with the keeps. The farms have been idle for such a long time. Trap being hit by knights though right now, so might potentially get another trap down here soon. Villagers are gonna try and repair.
No, nope. They got some gold. They're going back to the gold. archers are just focusing on the knights. It looks like Capoch has finally kind of swapped into producing some more horsemen and some more knights like we were suggesting earlier on, and it just shows how well they do against the unit of the opposite side that they counter, which is those archers. God,
it feels really, really bad right now, though. I mean, Erik, he's at over 2,400 food per minute. Capoch sitting at 1,400. So he's going to be able to just field a lot more militaries. Villagers being pulled now, probably just to... What are they going to go for? To kill the farms?
Yeah, no, yeah, farms. Farms for sure. Those villagers, they have... they had some aggression against farms in their earlier life, and they need their revenge.
I mean, Capoch is the Age of Empires 2 player here, but it looked for a second like Erik was trying to use his enemy farms. They're not working out for him, though, here.
Nope, and more farms being built on the backside, but starting to run out of real estate, especially if Erik can try to grab another foothold forward with the no stone he has coming in. But I wouldn't even be surprised to see him get an outpost or two down just to give himself some additional vision and just annoyance there.
Siege workshop now being constructed forward by Erik. It looks like he really wants to replenish his trebuchet numbers here ASAP, but I mean, right now it's just pure military advantage. His economy is also in much better shape. Capoch, though, did manage to reuse his farms, so he's now also going to get a little bit more food. Village numbers are looking relatively even at this point in time. And Capoch, behind all of this, he does have more relics. Oh, huge villager rate at the same time, though, here on the large gold.
I don't think there's too much gold left on the map on the side of Capoch after he runs out of this next mine that we see being raided in on right now. He does have the 3 relics, which is a huge benefit for him, but once you start losing out of gold as the French, this is really when the match can start tilting in the favor of your opponent. Obviously, I'd already say it was tilted in the favor of Erik for quite some time, but it will become even harder for Capoch to dig himself out of this hole.
Yeah, right now Erik's sitting on over 20 knights. Not just now lost a kill, now he's on 20 knights, but all of these knights are insanely strong with the royal bloodlines. It's just, they can take favorable trades against the spearmen. That's just how strong they are. Oh, no, did you see what I just saw?
That was the red palace, wasn't it? It was a forward red palace drop. Oh my gosh, and I mean, seeing that, there's nothing Capoch could do to defend it. He has 20 total military. I mean, you gotta just forfeit if you see that, right? There's no way any production can get by.
Well,
no production can get by.
Or it could have been even more forward. It could have been right on top of the landmarks for Capoch, but I mean, this is also plenty sufficient. It just completely disrupts the economy here in the front for Capoch. It's gonna take down the town center, and a lot of military production buildings for Capoch are on that left side, and they just can't go over to the right side in order to defend the landmarks.
Yeah, Erik, this is just a statement play with that red palace. He just goes, all right, I know it's time to end this. You don't have military, you don't have units. Red palace finishes, and an immediate forfeit comes out of the other side. It is a tie series going into game number 3.
She gets cold in this French mirror. Absolutely insane game. This was back and forth a couple of times, but I mean, we saw that Erik, he did go for that 3rd TC, but Capoch managed to stay even in villagers for so long, and it was just an absolutely action-packed game all throughout the duration of it.
Yeah, it's, you know, people complain about mirrors, but for me, I never really complain about seeing the French one just because there is always action going on. It's not one of those, hey, let's just wait and see. It's like, all right, feudal hits, first knight's coming. Oh, and
economy looking really close here. I mean, Capoch, he had more food, he had more gold, but he just didn't have the quality of units, and he didn't have enough units at the right points in time in order to really win those fights. He did do a lot of raids, but maybe those raids ultimately hurt him a little bit when he didn't have his main force where it needed to be in order to win those big fights in the middle.
I think we're going on into this game. We have Capoch over here in the blue as the HRE in the southwest side, and Erik in the northeast as the red on the Chinese.
Yeah, and right away we can see Erik going for that wood, so it's very likely going to be a dog play here. Actually goes for the early Imperial official early on. Also Capoch also going for that wood with the inspiring on his villagers. Immediately sends out a villager over towards that water side, so he's gonna be opting into a fast dock here on his side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. And even though Erik's build might be coming out a little bit later, they do have that extra build time, so he won't be too far delayed, as well as the fishing boats will end up coming out faster. So again, won't be too much delayed compared to the side of Capoch. Capoch being very, oh, okay, no, he's dropping it as close to that deep sea fish as possible to give himself some extra benefit there, but also it's the furthest away from Erik, so it's going to take longer for Erik to put any pressure down on that dock if it does come.
Don't think he had vision on that deep sea fish. I think it was just in order to delay the scouting information from his opponent for as long as possible. Erik also dropping that dock, sadly deleting one of his fishing spots there, but it is going to be right there in the edge of the map. And yeah, I mean, both players just opting for that slow fish economy at the beginning of the map. So none of these players opting for like an immediate barracks here at the start of the game and go for spearmen. I really want to see, like, if it's gonna happen, I really want to see the Barbican being dropped forward instead of like back in the base for Erik. I think like an aggressive Barbican can really just change the game dynamic here for the Chinese against the HRE.
Yeah, especially it's one of those things that, like, if you don't have villagers or military units ready for an aggressive Barbican, there's not really anything you can do to deny it. There's the villagers for Chinese build so fast, you spot it out and you're like, even if you pull vills or you pull whatever you have, a lot of times that Barbican still goes up. You might get a couple vill kills, but then the positioning point on that map is taken and controlled.
Yeah, and now we see a barracks actually being dropped here for Capoch, so it looks like he's gonna opt out into just getting a couple of military units here out on the map. Might be looking for a little bit of siege over on that dock for Erik, but for now it seems like he has quite a lot of villagers over in wood, so wouldn't be surprised if maybe he even goes for a second dock with that many villagers over in wood. Or maybe it's gonna be a second TC. No, it's still feudal age, so I think it's most likely gonna be a second dock. I think he's actually building it right now.
Oh, it's a barracks. Oh. So he's going to utilize the extra food that he's going to start getting from fishing and just immediately transition that into trying to counter out his opponent's fishing. It'll delay up his feudal age, but if he can potentially delay up the opposite side feudal, that'll be ultimately exactly what he needs.
No extra docks so far from Capoch. I mean, he does have a really big wood income right now, but Erik, he does spot that there are spearmen on their way. And what is that spearman focusing on right now? It looks like he's already holding that torch, so it looks like he's going to be straight going towards that dock and try to attack it as soon as possible. Scout already there. Actually, is he going to go towards the mill there in the front? That should be in range of the town center, though.
Yeah, it looks like he's running towards the mill, but I think he should be running towards... he's starting to curve a little bit to the right, maybe. He should be going towards the dock. Let's hope.
So not the straightest path, but yeah, he is indeed going down over to that dock. Erik, at the same time, he did drop a barrack of his own. Now going to supervise it with that Imperial official. That means these spears are going to be coming out at a really rapid pace here. And the Prelate at the moment, it's still back in the base of Capoch, so there should be no issue here with Erik just trying to defend his dock.
Yeah, this is one of those that if you do bring the Prelate, this can absolutely turn the tides in your favor. But at the same time, then you're losing that economic bonus at home that your opponent's going to be having with his Imperial official. Couple of those.
Looks like there's not going to be any connections here between these two forces. They're just going to be acknowledging each other, being like, oh, okay, you made spears, what a coincidence, I made spears, let's both keep our spears in our own bases together. But spears for Capoch, for Erik, do seem to be chasing a little bit here.
Yeah, now it's going to be 3 versus 4 and the scout, so a little bit of a favorable trade for Capoch. Even though Erik did micro back one of those low health spearmen, there's still extra spears that are going to get attacks off for Capoch's side.
Both players now up to 7 spears. However, Erik, he is still producing spears. Might be a little bit of an overreaction. That could potentially have been the goal here for Capoch. At the same time, though, he is still producing even more spears on his own side. Right now, though, it looks like Capoch has made a lot more fishing ships so far than Erik. There might have been a little bit of idle time here, as it looks like Erik only has 27 economic units compared to 30 for Capoch.
No, scout! Oh.
That could have been ugly.
Scout getting a little bit of a body block by his own spearman and keeps slowing on down. So if the Scout gets denied, this is such a key because this is vision. They don't want to take fights that they're going to lose. Well, if you don't know what your opponent has, you don't know what fight to take. Erik is heavily investing into those spearmen as we see 3 more in queue, and Capoch has delayed his spearman production, it looks like. Oh, as we say that, he queues up 1 more.
And right now, Capoch also going up to the feudal age. He managed to get all the resource that he needs for the feudal age. Right now, yeah, he's going up and he's rushing it up with a lot of villagers. We're probably going to be seeing galleys as soon as he gets up to the next age. And indeed, there's actually a dock, I think, being built towards the middle of the map. Yep. Just to have that production point be a little bit closer to the dock of Erik.
Yeah, and it also will allow him to continue to produce fishing at home if that's his main goal. Can keep boosting up his eco as he's already 5 economic units ahead of Erik. And once Feudal Age comes out and he starts denying the fishing on the opposite side, this could just be a huge snowball for Erik, or for Capoch.
Yeah, Erik, though, he does spot that there's a dock there. Could not use this. Oh, no.
The prelate's here.
That's a lot of healing.
Just needs to make sure the prelate does not get focused down. And there's an outpost there guarding up the gold, so Erik cannot overstep here by any means. Can't even step back over to the sea, as there should be a galley that's jumping on out. Spearman upgrade immediately coming through, and even if the spearman number favors Erik, Capoch should win that with the upgrade. Villagers forward.
Villagers still going forward. That might be a Barbican.
It might be a Barbican. At the same time, villagers pulled by Capoch. He's already ready for this. The villagers are being pulled. The spearmen are here as well. Galleys should come out to try to start denying the fishing. Spears are taking the fight and should just continue to queue up more spearmen into this. The prelate's doing everything it can to heal, and the villagers are being pushed back. It looks like Capoch has heavily won this fight as the spearman number is favoring him now with what we see on the screen, and the Barbican's starting to be torched. This is full denial. This is game. This is good.
Erik had the resources for an outpost before the Barbican, but instead he chose to just go straight for the Barbican. But right now we see the spearman, while he has the superior numbers, he just doesn't have all of his spears forward right now. And it really shows. These fights, they went heavily into the favor of Capoch. And Erik, though, he doesn't want to delete his Barbican.
He's bringing more villagers.
More and more villagers.
If all Capoch has to do is just mass back, he could build an outpost here, hopefully, and build it ahead of time. But more villagers, that is a huge mass of villagers, and the spearmen are still on the way. Villagers getting their shivs out, doing everything they can to attack, and the Barbican, it's not even at half health yet.
Prelate is being focused, though, by the spears. That could be a pretty big economic loss, and the Prelate disintegrated all of a sudden. Prelate gone, and now
Barbican finishes, villagers need to pull.
Instead, they're fighting. He's going to lose a lot of vills here.
Vills, run away, Capoch. What a throw. There's so many vills that just went down for Capoch.
Economic number still in favor of Erik, but we do see at the same time 2 galleys over on the dock from Erik, and that's going to be heavy losses on the water right now.
Yeah, so that economic units, yes, Capoch overstepped quite a bit. He probably lost 5, 10 villagers even, but compared to the fishing he has, he's got about I don't know, 10 fishing boats out on the map at least is what it looks like, and he might even start producing more out of that middle dock. Oh yeah, he's definitely got more, and he might start producing more out of that middle dock he built forward, since he has already started to fully deny the fish on the side of Erik, who has now dropped below 30 total economic units.
It's looking bad, and Erik right now, he is going for stone. So he might be thinking that, okay, I lost water, I'm gonna need Song Dynasty 2 TC in order to come back into this game economic-wise. Right now, he is denying the gold in the front of Capoch's base. However, Capoch has already expanded out towards the back gold, and spearman on spearman action here right now. However, I think there are more spears for Capoch right now, and this is looking like a good fight here for Erik, though, with the choke. Did lose a couple more spears, though, than Capoch did, and that outpost, I think, might be potentially denied. Body block coming in. Did the villager go down?
Villager went down. That thing got focused on first, and then the spears, they immediately transition away from the villager onto the spearmen on the opposite side, and you said it ahead of time. Capoch had the favorable number here and looks to be winning this fight. Actually, both are just going down.
Yeah. Outpost being Knight here. Archery range coming in now for Erik. A little bit of a forward archery range, and it's gonna be... I mean, he still hasn't deleted Outpost. Maybe he's still holding on to that, but at the same time, Capoch, he's getting closer and closer to the amount of gold that he will need in order to click up to the Castle Age. He's also getting the upgrades for his fishing ships, so these are gonna be even more efficient on the water. And right now, water is just completely dead for Erik.
Yeah, when water goes untouched, when you can full boom on water, he can full transition, not only with one dock, but multiple docks are going to be able to start producing fishing ships. He could transition into water trade, like I said, which, if that goes unpunished, that's something else to be said in of itself.
Yeah, water trade is extremely strong at the moment. Hand cannon slits coming in for Erik, but he should know that right now, Capoch, he is still getting gold from that back gold. If he scouted it at all. If he doesn't scout, if he hasn't scouted that, then that could be pretty big for Capoch. Horseman raid though. Oh no.
He's gonna be able to get that Vil and then just turn right back around. Oh, got the brace in. Okay.
Ooh, and the kill.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Outpost creep starting to move up from Erik. If he can deny the chapel, can deny the wood line, that could give him a little bit of timing, a little bit of breathing room. But he's not that 2 TC song that you said might give him a chance back in this game. He's still sitting on 1 TC. And not song.
Going up to the Castle Age.
Yeah, this is just what untouched water goes. He's up 22 economic units, 23 economic units. He is on deep sea fish, and it's going untouched. So almost going to be doubling the economy on the other side.
This is looking really, really bad now for Erik. He's not going to have the tech advantage. He doesn't have the villager advantage. Capoch right now, 60 economic units compared to 33 for Erik. This is looking really, really bad right now for him, and I don't really see a way back into this game for Erik at this point in time.
You know what
makes it... He's going to find the gold, but it's too late.
Yeah, and it's only like 7 units there, and there's an outpost, and that outpost, it's not going to be able to be burnt down by those. But what makes it sound even worse is that Erik has 51 total eco against 62, or 51 total population against 62 total eco only. So Capoch with just his eco outmatches Erik's population and just can transition that straight into military. He's Castle Age now. He's going to be able to secure up all of the relics on the map. He's going to be able to get those armored units out. He's non-stop knights, non-stop men-at-arms, as we just saw 3 additional barrack speed drop, and he has the ability to support that with the fish that he has.
Yeah, he has a lot of food, as you said, with the fishing economy, and he's just going to be able to spam men-at-arms non-stop here. Might even go into Landsknecht later on, depending on how much gold he's going to get with the relics. Yeah, Prelates out there is actually in a little bit of a tricky situation here, as the archers are firing on it, but knights are there to the rescue, taking down those archers easily.
Yeah, and I don't think it really matters what he chooses to produce out of the barracks. He just needs to produce out of all of those, and he will win. He could probably set a waypoint for Erik's base and woodline and just non-stop send everything that way, and he'd be good to go. The hand cannon slits outpost on top of the chapel has not been dealt with. Finally, Capoch realizes, pulls back some villagers from that location. But again, I don't think this is too detrimental for him. He's an age ahead. He's so many economic units ahead, and now his military is even ahead and are more resource costs in that military as well.
Knights taking a little bit of an unfortunate charge here. However, Prelate is there in order to heal them, but I mean, still a good amount of spears. Prelate being ignored by the spears right now.
I think he could have taken that.
Oh, he's gonna pull the villagers. There's not been a hand cannon slit emplacement on that first tower that went up, and yeah, they're actually just gonna pull their ships and try to take down that villager building the outpost there.
Yeah, Capoch just kind of playing this slow and methodically. Might not realize how far ahead he actually is, but there is not really a wrong move he can make right now. Bringing an additional prelate into this military mass to keep healing on up. He's only secured 1 relic for the time being, but I'm sure he's just going to walk up after this outpost gets killed, take the next relic in front, and then secure up even an additional couple more.
Erik right now, he's in a little bit of a tricky situation. He just went up to like 1,000 wood in the bank, now dropping a couple of additional production buildings. However, he doesn't even have the food really in order to do anything with these production buildings, so it's just can't state it often enough how bad this is looking right now for Erik. I think Capoch can pretty much do anything he wants in this game. As you mentioned earlier, any unit will suffice as long as he puts the waypoint inside the base of Erik. It's not going to be looking bad for him. And now Spearmen aren't going to be able to take down the Prowl before that download goes off. That was close.
That would have been a little too tilting. I think this is still one that at this point, if I were Erik, I would just say, all right, GG, let's go next and get this one out of my mind, because he is getting waxed right now and trying to drop a second TC up towards the deer in the north. But there's 4 knights heading towards, what is that, 20 or so villagers right there. And that's like more than half of Erik's eco that he has. Luckily enough, does not get spotted out. Actually might get a little bit of a pickup with these 4 knights that are circling. Oh, he forces them towards the town center.
And is gonna spot it right now. Villagers inside of the TC. Knights not looping around though in order to take any of these villagers down. Spearsman threat is too big for that right now. Actually, okay, there we go. Oh no, now the outposts are gonna get sieged down.
And this is one of those things, though, when you're Capoch, when you circle around with your knights, I'm not sure if he realized it just got built, but it could be one of those that he goes, oh no, how long's that second TC been there? And is wondering, okay, how strong is Erik's eco behind this? When in reality, we know how strong Erik's eco behind this, and it's basically non-existent.
Yeah, and right now, just Capoch being able to take this mid-game by absolute, like, the superiority here right now. You got the tech advantage, you got the eco advantage, you got the numbers advantage at this point as well. 14 military here for Erik, and he realizes that seeing that mass army here from Capoch, he does know that he has no place in this game anymore at this point in time, and he calls it GG.
Yeah, there was writing on the wall from earlier on. Once water got fully secured and there wasn't that quick Barbican drop, the Barbican came in when Capoch had military there, and it was a long-lasting fight there that, yes, went in the favor of Erik because he eventually got it down and got a lot of vills, but it doesn't make up for already having lost water.
Yeah, when we looked at the villager graph there, it was relatively even, but that is not factoring in all of the fishing ships that were out on the map here for Capoch. And I mean, it really goes to show just the huge difference here. There we go, economy count, and it's just way in the favor of Capoch. They're all that extra food. Archery, they can make a lot of use of that extra food. Just getting up to Castle Age sooner, just taking up all those relics in the Regnitz Cathedral. It's such a huge economic boost to them. And with the military production, Erik just had no chance against the superior mass here from Capoch. Being gathered up by the scouts in just a moment as we go to game number 4 here, Capoch against Erik.
Yeah, and so with this Lipany generation, that's always one of the things that we love to look at. Obviously, this is the Road to Wololo one that is a little bit updated from the typical Lipany, so you might get a little bit more consistent spawns and not quite some craziness out there. But looking in for a Basset, it's all about second and potentially third TC locations for these players. And when I look, I'm gonna go ahead and heavily lean towards Erik's map spawn. Reason being, yes, his food is front and forward, but he has so many resources all together that's kind of near that cliff line and ridge line with the double deer. And if he can secure that location for himself, that's just going to be such a foothold long term. Deer right on top of each other, an additional berry pack right behind it, and an easily wallable location as well.
Yeah, this is absolutely one of the probably best spots that we've seen for a second TC yet so far. I mean, he could just place the TC right next to the berries and then push all of the deer under his TC. Also, it's right next to a cliff, so if you place an outpost there, suddenly you have a huge amount of line of sight, and it's right next to that big patch of stealth forest, so you always know what's going to be going on in that stealth forest right there.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's one of those things that you like to see it, and it allows, with the cliffs that he has over on his side, it allows some easily wallable locations that's not too much of a wood investment that will give yourself a lot of extra APM breathing room to utilize that APM elsewhere and actually have it be a little bit more effective.
I wonder if we're going to see a similar strategy to some of these strats that we did see in the first game. There was a little bit of idle time, it looks here, with the villagers for Erik under TC, as some villagers went idle because there weren't enough sheep around. Scout being there, though, to deliver some work for them to do. But I wonder if we're going to see some of these approaches that we saw in our last Basset Mirrored game that we had today, with one of the players maybe going for like a really fast early Golden Age.
Yeah, you know, I saw a theorized build way early on. I think it might have been by Avely, where he started out with 3 or 4 houses to get the quick Golden Age. I don't think that's the exact play, but I do think getting Golden Age earlier than normal, but still a little bit more naturally, does really, really spur on your economy without kind of having that full realization of it without, you know, analyzing your games.
Yeah, right now, I mean, we see both players just playing it typically. I think right now they've went for pretty much the exact same timing, both also on wood already. So looks really even here so far. H-up time also very, very similar here from the two. Looks like they might just go for the identical build order here. Not seeing any mills being placed right now. Actually, first villager now gonna go over and place the mill. So with the amount of villagers that he has on gold, we might be seeing a... yeah, he has one more villager on gold, so we might be actually seeing a wheelbarrow here relatively soon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wheelbarrow out of Capoch, and I think Erik might actually pull off and just go with the fresh foodstuffs and pass up on the wheelbarrow a little earlier on. We'll know with the next drop off of gold villagers if he plans on staying on the gold for longer for wheelbarrow, or if he just plans on, like I said, just the fresh foodstuffs opening and get that second TC down a little faster.
Yeah, right now scouts just trying to look around, trying to see what the game plan is here for Capoch. It's not really too discernible at this point in time. Just gonna get some more additional information on the amount of villagers that he has on wood and what other resources he might have them on. None of these players went over to stone yet, so they might go for production building here before they think about going for that second TC.
Yeah, and Erik, very, very heavy onto the gold, is floating a good bit of gold, but doesn't have the mill to be able to queue up wheelbarrows. So I'm wondering, okay, and early stables is the choice by Erik. So wants to pressure a little bit, and he might actually surprise Capoch on the other side with some of these early horsemen coming out, rather than the super, super early TC drop. No fresh feuds queued up yet, and a stable's already dropped on the other side, so it will be a few horsemen coming out to maybe deny the preferential location of that TC.
It's gonna hurt a lot with the fresh foodstuffs delay here, and I think he just hasn't noticed it that he hasn't queued it up, and it's gonna hurt a lot for every single villager that he's queuing past this point, because Capoch has already researched it now, and it was a similar uptime. Okay, there we go. Now he finally gets it, but that's like 50 bonus food that he lost due to 2 villagers being made. Actually goes for a second stable as well.
Yeah, that's a really, really heavy investment, especially when you're considering Abbasid to have some of the strongest spearmen in the game. I don't think Capoch is going to be dropping that yet, as he does have enough for the upgrade if needed for those spearmen if he does move into it. But double horseman going to be coming out for Erik with his production that he has.
We're going to see him immediately queue up a lot of horsemen. I think he's just going to go straight over to the stone. Both horsemen here just passing by each other in the stealth forest, not seeing each other. Could potentially try to delay the stone a little bit here, as Capoch did go over to the stone a little bit later. However, he does have a good amount of villagers there. Personally, I think that horsemen, they're kind of weak early on in the game. And with enough villagers, just like 6 villagers, you're probably even going to be able to just take a fight with the horsemen on the stone mine.
Yeah, it definitely, you know, at most can just cause a little bit of idle time, can cause a little bit of delay. But once you do get a few horsemen, that's something that you actually have to deal with. But it looks like Erik is using his a little bit more defensively than expected with a double production building investment.
Did get a little bit of idle time there on the berries, but now there's 2 horsemen here for both of these players. However, one of these horsemen is already a little bit better down. More horsemen now going over for Erik. So, I mean, I think the timing's already a little bit off now. The Capoch is going to have enough stone for that second TC. And I don't think that Erik has enough units right now in order to deny it should it be placed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely already going down. It's being placed on the opposite side that Erik has his horsemen, but the key is that Capoch is still on the stone. So the villagers, he clearly is planning on a third TC play. The villagers turn with their shivs as it's 4 horsemen versus 3, and he wants to get a little bit of extra damage in, with still continuing to gather this stone mine.
None of these villagers going down there, and we just see them like going back and forth a little bit here and there, but we can also clearly tell that at this point, Capoch is going to go, or is wanting to go for that third TC, as he is just lingering around there for a little bit longer than he might. Actually, now he's just pulling off there completely, so might not go for it now. He sees that there's just a couple too many horsemen there for him to really safely go for that stone right now. He has already placed his TC. I think it's already fully built by now, but Erik just now also placed his CC. It's right next to all of these steers, so he's going to have a lot of potential food income here just to make more and more horsemen.
Yeah, and the horseman number on the opposite side is clearly favoring Erik with an 8-4. It's just about, are those horsemen going to be grouped up? Is he going to split them up and try to just be a little bit annoying in some different locations? Again, not necessarily killing villagers, but causing idle time. You mentioned it. If there's about 6 villagers there, they can efficiently kind of just turn and shiv down the horsemen without taking damage, but idle time becomes the big concern.
Right now we see both players having a pretty good amount of horsemen right now. Oh, little gap there in the wall.
The wall had not been finished. And the first big Vill pick that we've noticed is that villager building the wall just immediately gets taken down. Horsemen run through, they spot out that second TC on the preferential location that we were talking about and decide to go in for another look. Might want to click on the stone to see how much stone Erik has, as we'll notice he has 400 in the bank. Would definitely expect him to go ahead and drop a third TC with the next wood drop off of his villagers.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, the horseman here right now for Capoch, it's a little bit weird right now. Capoch has pretty similar numbers when it comes to the horseman, even though he's only on one stable. That's just because Erik, he didn't have enough food with all of the resource that he was gathering for the TC, so he wasn't able to just fully produce out of them. No villager going down there, all able to escape in time. Only 2 horsemen in the base of Capoch right now, but he is adding
there's a Vill kill or 2. Adding a barracks right in front of those horsemen during the raid. A lot of town center fire coming down and kind of transitioning some of that damage away, and some horsemen coming in on the opposite side for Erik for a raid, who immediately reacts, who gets his villagers to pull their shivs out and start doing some attacking. The third TC, though, already being dropped for Erik, and this could be the big macro advantage for him. He's already ahead a little bit in Vills, having the more successful raids, and now he is getting the lead in the TC count, which should mean the lead in the villager count.
Yeah, what's also really important is the composition that Capoch is now opting in for. He's going to go horsemen and spears, but Erik, he can just go into camel archers and even more villagers being picked here. Wait,
I thought one was about to go down, but I think the horsemen might have transitioned their fire to 2 different. Yeah,
2 are really weak there. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Definitely an unfortunate pickup. No wall still going down for Erik. Capoch still has only invested in that one little short wall that I'm not even sure if he's finished in between his wood lines. And ultimately, yep, there it is. He's finishing it up right now. So he's trying to secure up his side a little bit more and getting towards that second TC, but still needs the wood and still needs just a little bit more stone.
Thinking about the army composition right now, Erik is in a really good... Once again, horsemen trying to pick up a couple of villagers here, hopping into the TC again. Army being there for Capoch in order to fend them off. But right now, looking at the army composition, Erik could go for camel archers in order to counter out not just the spearmen, but also in part the... Wait, he's going for stone again. Is that going to be a 4th town center here in this game before Capoch even gets to place down his 3rd?
It might just be as it's one of these things that, you know, some people can tend to be a little bit greedy when they know they have had the advantage. And I feel like with the way that this fight has been going for Erik so far, I think he knows he's had the advantage here. But did he just throw away 4 horsemen to just a few spears?
Single spearman just took down 3 weak horsemen there, each with a single hit. That definitely had to hurt. But yeah, I mean... Still, being able to go into camel archers here in this composition means that you're gonna have a really big mobility advantage here. With 3 or 4 camel archers, you're able to one-shot all of these spears, and you're also debuffing your enemy's horsemen.
Oh, and once again, more successful raids.
And the villager count is just really looking bad right now.
Look at the food per minute right now. Oh my god. Erik is at 1,300 food per minute, and Capoch is at 288.
Really goes to show just how effective these raids have been. Just a lot of idle time here, and It's really working out well right now. Okay, we see another attack here from Capoch also on the town center of Erik at the top side. He's trying to siege it down, actually. He does have a lot of units here, and the army for Erik is out of position.
Yeah, Erik looks to potentially be taking down some reinforcing units. Villagers circling around as there's not enough room inside there. But this is heavy losses for Capoch, and he's down a town center. So getting this town center just equalizes the town center numbers. But the villagers have already been working. The villagers are already out, and he is down 5 vills. The camel archer comes out, giving those horsemen on the opposite side the camel unease debuff, and the town center still firing down on the spearmen. Once the spearman mass gets cleared out, that is when Erik should be able to win this fight pretty easily.
Yeah, he did manage to delay just enough with the horseman as a meat shield here. This was looking really dangerous here at Erik for some point. I mean, if that TC goes down, not only is the TC count equal, but it also means that all the villagers that are inside that TC is gonna be like really exposed the moment that town center goes down. Capoch still not on that third TC. He is gathering up a lot of wood right now, but he's just not been able to place it so far. 4th TC now being built by Erik.
Yeah, 4th TC up top of that hill, and the amount of food in the bank for Erik is absurd. He can just keep producing anything and everything he wants. 5 camel archers in queue right now, and just how you mentioned a little bit earlier on, those camels will be perfect, except Capoch has already made the transition and started to build up his own archers. Villagers finish that 4th TC, immediately jump inside, get a little bit of return fire down on to Capoch's military units.
I'd really like to see an outpost up there on that hill as well. It just gives you so much line of sight into that south forest. The TC can't look into that south forest at all. So having an outpost there just tells you so much about the army from Capoch, just how many units he has. Right now, no vision at all inside there. Just a single outpost could be a huge information gain for him there. And we see a lot of additional production buildings now being dropped for Erik. He really knows that Capoch is going to go for a pretty big push here in the feudal age that he usually does, and he knows that he has to match his army count at least to some regard here.
Yeah, and I mean, with 4 TCs, he should be able to start having the eco to match that army count in a little bit as the production buildings, once they finish on up, he can just full mass into horseman spears and have a couple camel archers into the mix as well.
Actually producing quite a lot of camel archers here. Capoch, he's opted only into a single camel archer. Erik, he already has 4 out and still 2 more being produced right now.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I think it's due to the earlier food income that Erik had. Erik's food income was turned on way earlier compared to Capoch's. Now has equalized from the opposite side as far as that food income goes, but there was like an extra minute or 2 that he did not have that.
Exactly, and right now we see Capoch only on 3 TCs compared to 4, and Erik, he has the 12 villager lead right now. So economy looking really good for Erik right now, and he's also on gold right now. He really needs to get a couple of military upgrades here as Capoch. He's getting his military upgrades right now, and as soon as those come in, I think he's going to start taking some fights here, even under those town centers.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, just there's only so much that town centers can do on defense as far as how many units you have and what you can end up doing with them. And Capoch is going to end up losing his timing push if he waits any longer with the with 4 TCs being on the opposite side.
I mean, he does still have a really big military lead, 33 spears here. Meanwhile, Erik, I mean, he does have a lot of units, but they're all cavalry, so it could be really a bad fight here happening if that fight is going to be taken soon here. Now we see Erik also getting some blacksmith upgrades here. He's getting the Pierce armor upgrade first, but all upgrades right now are being reset for Capoch.
Yeah, and I mean, this is really where once those upgrades come through in this many military units, those upgrades matter so much more.
Especially with the amount of units out on the field right now. We see 156 population compared to 146. Erik has split up his military force right now, so he's trying to get a couple of raids in, but this might be the perfect window of opportunity here for Capoch as he sees that there are not the entire army present here right now for Erik, and he is moving in right at that point in time.
Yeah, immediately takes that opportunity to push forward. It's almost like when you hear Castle Age come out. He sees military units not on his side of the field. Raids are coming in, and he takes this timing to push forward. But will it be enough? Is this going to be the timing push that he needs?
Doesn't look like it. That was just too much arrow fire here from all of the town centers, from the outpost. And at the same time, Erik with the raid is getting a couple of villagers here. Just a lot of damage being done here to Capoch when it comes to the food income as well.
Yeah, it's just he's fighting under those town centers, but not only the town center, there's outposts there as well. Horsemen are raiding in on top of the villagers, and the villagers are going for a surround. Capoch is now down 25 economy, and he is up still on the military, but the more military that is out, the less effective that military lead becomes.
Same time, he did have some idle time due to having all of his villagers inside of his building. So right now, the food economy is not looking that good anymore for Erik. He needs to get his food economy going again. And you see at the same time, Capoch using that hill here, just walling in his villagers that are on the deer right now. Trying to also get a little bit of information on Erik's base right now, just roaming around. And Erik, he's going to be using his mobility right now. He's going to be using his superior mobility, able to take a lot of good raids here.
And that's a huge surround. All of those vills are going down. That too many horsemen to be able to run away from. They use that mobility. They get us around, and that villager deficit is just continuing to fall. But Capoch, he says, all right, this is my time again. You just raided with those military units. Let's push forward and go for this again. Villagers moving forward for Erik, just running. I don't know what they're doing. Running into the mass.
Right? Yeah. Taking down the rams. What is this? What is this villager pull? What?
Erik, no! I think he clicked control all vills or something. This is way too many. He's just deciding for the full surround. He's trying to pull the vills back away. I think he meant to do a control all military. He did control all villagers. Horsemen circling, camel archers trying to do their thing. Ram is still on top of the main TC. The couple villagers inside jump out to burn it down. But Erik just lost that fight so heavily, and the economy, it's dead even.
That was, oh no, if that was a mistake, if that was a misclick, that might just cost him the game here right now. Military is clashing, but right now, it looks like the military advantage is still firm in the hands of Capoch. Erik right now sitting on only 14 military compared to 57 for Capoch. There's just not enough units here. Military is focusing down that TC. It's going to go up in flames in just a matter of moments. He still has a lot of units inside of these buildings firing with the arrows, but at the same time, Capoch just falling back with his infantry and further building more rams for the next push.
Only 6 archers in queue for Erik, yet Capoch has 11 archers, spearmen in queue, and is that traders that we see by accident? I mean, I don't know if that's on purpose or by accident, but I see traders over there in the queue. Farms being transitioned onto for Erik, and I think this is the big downfall for him. There was a point where he lost out on his food resources. He never went down to the east side berries, never went down to some of those secondary food sources. And Capoch, he's just full steam ahead. Quad rams coming in and about to push on forward for that TC again.
The military right now, 82 compared to 19. Erik once again tries to sneak away with his military, but that's just gonna mean that his base is gonna be exposed. And with the amount of archers right now, these archers can even take fights against the horsemen. There just aren't enough horsemen right now. Erik is trying to produce as many archers as he can in response, but it's just not gonna be enough right now, as Capoch just has the way better income currently. TC going down, and the push just seems like it's not gonna be one that Erik is gonna be able to stop.
Yeah, I say it all the time. It doesn't matter if you have extra TCs if you can't protect the vills coming out of them. And Erik, it wasn't about protecting the vills. He thought a little too much about protecting that TC, threw everything forward for it. He's trying to get some return raids down, but those return raids are going to be nothing in comparison of what he had just lost.
Yeah, and Capoch still has some military in his base. These are all counter units, so all of the horsemen are actually going down. Well, not all of them, but actually, yeah, all of the horsemen are gonna go down, and Erik is struggling right now. Yeah. Another TC is gonna go down. All of the production buildings for Erik are exposed. He can no longer make any military out of these buildings. If he makes units, they're just gonna get sniped immediately. And this looks like the end of the game. It's 105 military. It's almost 200 pop against 119. Fight here being taken by Erik, but Capoch has doubled the military numbers, double the archer numbers at least, and it's looking really, really bad now.
Yeah, it's just almost one of those that if you were Erik looking into it, he had such an eco lead when he went all out for that. He just needed to almost like give up that 4 TC and just mass up military to equalize the numbers and take a better fight against Capoch. But Capoch, he is just taking the fight to Erik, taking down all of the production, taking down the 3 of 4 TCs that Erik has. So he is about to just only be on the original. Whole entire woodline has 2 horsemen and a wolf raining in on those villagers. So just that villager count for Erik is going to continue to fall.
It's still looking relatively even now, but now he's going to loop around with all his military. He could just dive down under the TC and just completely take Erik out of the game at this point in time. Man, that was just such an unfortunate moment, selecting all of your villagers and pulling them forward.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, maybe he meant to double-click a spearman, maybe he meant to double-click an archer, and he double-clicked a vill and pulled them all forward, and it's devastating to see, but there just doesn't look to be much opportunity back in it, still being down he has a third of the military that Capoch has.
Yeah, and the income behind it all is looking in favor of Capoch, and now there are 4 rams battering down at that town center, and I mean the landmarks, they're pretty much exposed. All of the production buildings in the front from Erik have been taken out by Capoch's army here, and I mean, at this point in time, more villagers being pulled, and they're not going to be able to take down the rams with the amount of archers that Capoch has right now.
I think Erik's going to have nightmares about pulling vills after this game. Just so many vills that have ended up going down. The trades for Capoch now are just so clean and even. He knows he just took down all of the extra TCs for Erik. He still has all of his TCs producing. He hasn't taken any pressure in quite some time. And just the Rams, amount of production that the Rams have taken out and the amount of just overall resources that they've paid for themselves so many times over now.
Yeah, losing 30 villagers to misclick is definitely gonna give you, like, that's definitely nightmare potential right there. It really hurts to see as well, because I think he was in a really solid position there for quite a long time, and now it's just so many production buildings went down, and Capoch has the firm military lead. I don't really see a way back in here now for Erik. I mean, just looking at the food economy as well, I think Capoch, behind all of this, he's also made a farm transition at this point in time. So his food economy is just going to be really, really solid as well.
Yeah, it's exactly right. He has full, huge sets of farms around multiple town centers, whereas he has fully denied a lot of the, well, he did deny some of those farms earlier, but all of the other production that is out has had a camel archer on that wood line, knows exactly where Erik is getting all of his wood from, as he has other units all the way on the eastern wood line.
Now archer numbers are looking good again for Erik, but I mean, there's still going to be the meat shield here with all of these spears, and at the same time Capoch, he knows that Erik is now full on only archer mode, and with that he has now switched over to horsemen once again and producing a lot of horsemen. He just dropped down a ton of stables and just going into full horseman spam at this point in time. He's completely locked out of population. He's at 200 out of 200, and once again just sending a couple of units through the back, just trying to get a little bit more information on what the economy state of his opponent is in, maybe get a couple of villager kills, but it's just gonna be really rough here. And I mean, I'm not sure what's going to be going on right now, but I think that Capoch, if he's not going to finish this game off in a little bit, he could just go into Castle Age, and probably Erik at that point knows that the game is going to be over.
I think he pushes here and goes up to Castle Age during this push, so even if he wins, loses the trade, it's a dead even trade. He's going to be Castle Age while Erik's not, and that's just going to be the huge differential. The horsemen are running in. He's burning down a couple houses on the way. The horsemen could go for the wood line first, force some of those archers to go towards the horsemen, and then the spears and archers themselves are just going to push up. And, you know, not too much time left here for Erik once this play happens, as there's still spearmen on the farms in the backside that he just built as well. So raids are coming in from everywhere. Horsemen circle around for Erik, try to get on top of the archers, but realize they don't have the numbers. There's spearmen there protecting. Villagers on the farms are running, and this is going to finally be it for Erik, I believe, as he is just running himself thin and ragged.
I mean, the archers, they're trying to shoot the spears, but the spears are just here as a meat shield right now for the archers of Capoch, and Erik has to fall back yet again. I mean, there is the TC helping out with the fire, but military is just flooding non-stop here. Capoch right now is sitting on 170, so he did lose a good amount of population there, but it's just all being regained in just a matter of moments. As we see, he has a lot of units in production at all times here.
Yeah, the amount of units he has in production are always basically double digits, whereas every single time I look at Erik, it's like 3-4 units in production, and he doesn't really even have the production buildings to mass up that all of that production. Tons of those vills have been being idled, trying to build outposts, trying to build farms that he's slow to transition into, and some are even moving forward on the southeastern side of the map to expand off to some other resources. And look, God, the farms for Capoch are just so full and nice as could be. Berries being taken by Erik as he is forced to get anything and everything he can.
He's also going to be able to get the upgrade from the House of Wisdom, but now he's up in the Castle Age, and Erik surely knows that this is going to be looking really, like, if it's looking bad right now, it's going to be looking even worse within the next minute. As soon as those upgrades come in, it's just going to be Castle Age units against Feudal Age units. And with those upgrades, actually, Capoch, look at the stone. Yeah,
the keep drop. He was ready. And so right when the Horseman, the Archer upgrade comes through, he's going to be dropping a keep at the same time. Keep's not as aggressive as I would have hoped for. He could have literally just dropped it right next to that archery range that's still up, but he's just playing a little safer. The upgrades are about to come through in the next 10 or so seconds. He could take this fight earlier on, as he still has the numbers with not only just his archers, but his horseman number is equivalent to the archer number on the opposite side.
He can just go for yeah, he's just gonna go for another keep straight after this one, and this is what I like to call a get out of my game keep, a get out of my keep game castle. And now we see all of these units have their veterancy upgrades, and there's just no way that Erik can really do anything here. He did click up to Castle Age himself, but it's still far away, and he does call GG at this point in time.
Yeah, so Capoch is the next one to make his spot in for tomorrow, and goes ahead and will face the winner of Divine versus I Am Magic.
Yeah, and these are going to be some really important games for these players as they want to get to that Heidelberg ticket. Unfortunate here for Erik, but Capoch just showed some, just some superior tactics here in the end. I think both players played really well. It was really unfortunate for Erik here that he lost so many villagers with that. I mean, it must have been a misclick, honestly. We can't be sure right now, but it's very likely going to be a misclick, and that pretty much cost him the game here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a situation where you pull that many vills for, I think it was 2 rams or so, and it's not even like he pulled them to the rams. He pulled them like to attack the front line. So definitely a tragic misclick. You can see it on the eco count, just a straight down